Welcome to Creator Upload, your creator economy podcast. I'm Lauren Schnipper.
And I'm Joshua Cohen. Lauren?
Am I a Swiftie? Currently, yes.
Were you a Swiftie before, or you're a newly converted Swiftie?
I wouldn't want to disrespect actual Swifties and say that I was. A fan, yes. Go to a concert? No. Do I have friends that I have a couple who literally flew to Japan to go to her concert because they were like, it's actually cheaper than going like in the States to try to get tickets. I have another friend who went in Australia and then flew to Poland for her concert. So like, this is a level that I will never compete with and I'm not really trying to. So, but am I a fan of her music? Yes, I am.
Okay, so you're a fan of her music.
Sure.
And now are you a fan of Taylor Swift, the person?
Well, a bit of context as to why you're asking me this question, Josh. Might you want to tell the listeners?
Sure. Taylor Swift made her first podcast appearance ever on the New Heights podcast.
Sure.
Which is co-hosted by the brothers Travis and Jason Kelce, professional NFL players.
Yes.
One of which, Travis, happens to be dating Taylor Swift.
Sure is.
In a very public relationship.
Absolutely. And did I listen to the research for my weekly podcast? Did I listen to the entirety of it? I sure did. And I have a lot of thoughts. Namely, she's like really real. Like, she's like real. She's like real. No,
is that a Taylor Swift impression, or that's just the intonation you have when you think about talking about Taylor Swift and saying how personable she is?
That was the impression that Shane Dawson and I used to do when we would like make fun of like basic girls. So, but how I feel about this is that like, it's really interesting because I think that from my point of view, which is not somebody who's like deep in the weeds, but I'm very aware of her relationship. I've watched a lot of things, is that I'm sort of like, girl, let's lock her up. Like, you guys seem in love. You're in your like 30s. Like, what are we waiting for? But like one thing that a couple of things that I took away from it regarding their personal relationship is that, their entirety pretty much of the relationship was when she was on tour. So they were living this magical fantasy life, like traveling and, doing all these fantastic things together. And only since she's been on the tour, are they like, he's like, I'm getting to know like at home Taylor and her like hobbies. And she was talking about her sourdough bread making and, sewing
okay, Lauren,
and things like this.
Lauren, I'm sorry. I'm just going to stop you there. I'm sure the audience would love to hear
what
you think about the idiosyncracies of their personal relationship.
You're asking me a question. I'm answering. You're my mother. Like, stop interrupting me. The point is that like, I'm like fine with where they are in the relationship. And then the other thing that I would notice, this is, is that like, they talked about how like their lives are very similar in terms of the way they perform in stadiums and stuff. And it reminded me, I have a lot of friends that are comedians that married chefs because they have those same like nocturnal weird hours, and it all like made sense. And so anyway, that's my big takeaway. Oh, and she's got an album coming out. That's the big other news. But it was fun.
That was the whole pretext for why she came on the podcast, is because she's announcing.
Jason didn't know. Jason had no idea. It was a big surprise to him. So it was very exciting.
Because she went and revealed the whole album cover?
He didn't know she was announcing an album at all. The boyfriend knew, but the brother didn't know.
Yes, the new album, The Life of a Showgirl, which she revealed she had in this like turquoise briefcase. And then she pulled it out of it, kind of fancy.
Oh, I know.
Style.
I was listening. I wasn't watching, like, because I'm not a monster who watches a podcast. I'm just kidding. Hi to our listeners and viewers that are watching right now.
So that was a big reveal moment. The album's actually going to drop in October. So this is kind of a pre-tease.
Sure was. Yeah, no, it's exciting. And it's a happy album. And I thought it was actually one of the things also she talked about all the Easter eggs that she is famous for putting in her music and other things. And she's like, they're never about my personal life. They're always about music. And she talked about how she got some honorary doctorate at like NYU, and like she gave a speech, and the entire speech was basically lyrics from what was going to be her next album. And she's like, and if you didn't realize that, like, you just would have thought this is a speech, and then if you did realize it later, you were like, wait, what? So that was fun.
That is super fun. That's super fun for her and her fan base.
Her very, very last concert of the tour, I guess every other concert she left the stage in one way, and the very last concert of this Eras tour, she went through an orange door. Also an Easter egg because this new album's cover is orange. I mean, I'm a Swiftie now, you guys. I mean, this is important information that you should learn on this podcast. Any other questions?
How is this done for the New Heights podcast? I'll answer this one. It's added around 500,000 YouTube subscribers. Before all this Taylor Swift hullabaloo happened, about 5 or 6 days ago, the New Heights podcast channel was up to 2.56 million. It's almost up to 3 million subscribers now. Probably will pass that by the end of the day. The video itself peaked at about 1.3 million concurrent views. So what they did, at least on the YouTube channel, is they released this as a premiere. There was a clock counting down the minutes, hours, seconds until start time, and then everybody watches that first viewing together. So during that first viewing, again, peaked at about 1.3 million concurrent viewers. There was some kind of glitch with it too. It cut off.
Oh, heavens.
One of the writers at Two Filter, Sam, was watching it with his Swiftie counterpart.
Obviously.
And they were surprised at how abruptly it cut off on the YouTube channel. So there were some technical difficulties. Maybe it broke the internet a little bit. It's New Heights is also trending at #1 on the Spotify charts, on the Apple charts. It's not on the YouTube podcast charts yet because they go week by week and they update the charts on a weekly basis. So I'm assuming next week it'll be there. Who knows if it will top Joe Rogan or not, but my guess is probably.
Probably.
Another interesting note here is that there were no ads
Right.
in the podcast, which I think is one, an enormously missed opportunity, but two, probably makes sense because Travis doesn't want to seem like he's profiteering off his girlfriend, even though they both are from this relationship in ways that are normal. That's fine.
Sure.
Usually, the New Heights podcast has tons of ads. They've been sponsored by Audible 32 times in the past year, Buffalo Wild Wings 30, American Express 27, DraftKings, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, Perplexity, the AI company.
Mm-hmm.
They usually have tons of ads on the program, and I was excited going into this thinking about, who's going to sponsor this thing? Who's going to sponsor this thing? Turns out nobody. Probably a better route for them in the long run.
I mean, for their relationship, I think it makes sense.
She probably wouldn't have agreed to it otherwise, right? She's so conscious of her image and which brand she surrounds herself around.
It would seem so. And he said at one point, he's like, I didn't ask her. She sort of offered. Like, I would never think to ask her. Like, I don't know. He seems really into her. And it was really cute when he talked about like how I never knew the origin story about how he met her, which I won't regale you here. But it was like, she had this moment where she was like, is this guy a creep? And then she's like, or is this guy doing exactly what I've wanted him to, like a guy to do based on all the songs I've ever written? And she kind of was like, I think that maybe he might just be a good guy. Like, it was kind of one of those amazing things where I think in this world, if we would just zoom out, like everybody's like, especially the young folk are like so suspicious and this and that. And sometimes it's just like a guy who's really into you and like wants to take you out and might be actually a nice guy. And you know what? Good for Taylor for recognizing that.
Hey, let them.
Let them.
Just let them. Just let them.
That shows our age of Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins, thank you. Let them. Okay, we have a very exciting show, action-packed show today. We have two guests. First up is going to be Evan Britton, who is the founder, of course, of Famous Birthdays, to talk about the very new, interesting partnership with Pixability. And then later in the show, we have Jonathan Katz-Moses, who's a YouTube creator and entrepreneur. He's in the woodworking space, and he recently just accepted a $2 million investment from Slow Ventures to sort of expand his business. And so we're going to talk about that. First up, so excited to talk to Evan Britton, founder of Famous Birthdays. So excited to have Evan Britton on the podcast today. He is the founder of Famous Birthdays, which is largely known as the IMDb of creators. He's going to talk about the new partnership they have formed with Pixability, which is a CTV and data media solutions company. Evan, welcome to Creator Upload.
Good to see both of you.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be seen. So Evan, tell us about this partnership. Of course, you guys have been talking about for a long time that you are able to see sort of an inflection point of when creators sort of become famous, for lack of a better word, because a lot of people are searching them. And it sounds like Pixability has recognized this sort of how valuable that is. And so tell us about that and tell us about this partnership.
We've stayed in our lane, as you've known, since 2012 to be the IMDb for creators. Our traffic has consistently grown. This summer, our search engine was searched up to 1 million times per day on our site organically. And those searches are just raw user intent. And the most important part is platform agnostic. So it might be from a Netflix show, people are searching somebody. It might be an athlete. It might be a short form creator, long form podcast. Our data does not care where it's happening because it's happening on our platform. So it's platform agnostic intent. And obviously the history, we had Charlie D'Amelio in our office when no one really knew about her from these searches. And that's always happened.
So just to context, you guys noticed there was a lot of people searching this random girl, Charlie D'Amelio. So you said, "Come, well, we'd like to meet her," and you had we had her come over. Yeah,
she had a few 100,000 followers, and she flew to our office for her first ever interview. And we knew when she was in the office that it was rare what was happening. Same thing with Addison Rae, and even for like show like Wednesday, the Netflix show, I put on LinkedIn, this is the most searched show, and 40 hours later, Netflix said this is one of our most popular releases at like shows ever 2 days into it. So we can see that intent. And then obviously we have data on what's being searched. So we know programmatically, was this a YouTuber? Was this a TikToker? Was this a TV show or an actor? Because we profile all these individuals. So we also know what was the most searched last month that has a YouTube ID.
Right.
Because since we do the profiling of folks, we know stuff about them. So we don't do brand or advertiser influencer marketing deals. That's not our business. We don't do deals on behalf of creators. We don't work with brands and agencies. Our data has been used primarily by our users. So when you go to famous birthdays, everyone's ranked based on our popularity, which is entirely driven by those searches I mentioned, and a few other signals, but searches is the main one. So, but we started using our data 3-4 years ago for talent agencies so they can see who to sign. Since we're staying in our lane, we don't want to rep talent. We want to be agnostic, but we license our ranking data so talent agencies can sign mainly creators.
New and upcoming creators, yeah.
We also license our data to social platforms because they want to see what's happening off platform. So that's been a good secondary business, even though our focus and passion is on the consumer on the website. So that brings us to Pixability. They are the largest advertiser on YouTube outside of YouTube itself, because they work with agencies mainly to help come up with targeted lists of YouTube CIDs. Because when you go on YouTube to advertise, you get a set of targeting parameters. Pixability has their own technology and their own additional layer of data and targeting that they offer to agencies. So, and we really like them. We've worked with them for a few years. They've been around since 2008. So like us, we've been around since 2012. So they're focused on what they do. And they saw a lot of value in our velocity data. And velocity just looks at over the last week or month, who's rising the most.
Right.
If somebody like Mr. Beast, it could be ranked number 1 5 years ago, and today he's Mr. Beast. It's gonna be expensive to advertise on this channel and a lot of competition. Plus he's already been around. We found that when someone's really rising, there's a lot of action and tension for them. It's a great time to transact with them. So they were interested in our velocity data to see over given time periods, which YouTube CIDs, creators, are rising the most on our site. And that's how the partnership is structured.
And Evan, this seems to be getting pretty good results, right?
That's the most exciting part, is that we've been working with them for a few years. We haven't done a partnership. We did the Alexa deal, which 2Filter announced, which was big because they're taking our data. So if you say Alexa, who is Charlie D'Amelio, since she's not on Wikipedia or IMDb, at least at that time, it reads our bio. And we're still working with Alexa. But most of our partnerships have been with the talent agencies or social platforms. So this was a different one. So we slowly dipped our feet into it, but we've been working with them for over a year, and they ran multiple campaigns. And the campaigns have worked. Like when they compare other CIDs in a campaign with the YouTube CIDs that we've identified as having high velocity in our rankings, the engagement was up 58% and the conversion was up 31%. So that was really exciting to see raw. And that was their data they were sharing. We had nothing to do with that. All we did was share the lists. So it's working.
So so what does it look like today? Are you essentially just powering the back end of Pixability? Like, where does one go to sort of like access this partnership?
It's in their platform. So if you're an agency or brand working with them, whether or not you work on their self-serve dashboard or with like an account manager there, this is like a key targeting option that you're going to have when you come up with a list of YouTubers to market your campaign on. But the beauty of it is they're doing it. Like, we're still staying in our lane. We're just an extra highly targeted agnostic data layer that their agencies and brands can leverage.
I love this. I mean, I think data is power, and you guys have a lot of it. And I think that the beauty, I'm sure you get a lot of, there's a lot of ideas about how you guys can expand, but I think the beauty of staying in your lane is you can do these really interesting partnerships, and people feel like you are this neutral sort of party that just has this data. How can we sort of access it, capitalize on it, and build businesses, brands, etc. on it? So I love that.
The other point is we love doing what we've always focused on, the consumer website. So I think the good thing about this partnership is the stronger our website is, and our app also, our iOS and Android app is growing, just the more stronger our data will be. So we can focus on, the core.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. Thank you for coming on and giving us the details. Very excited to see how this shapes out and what results, what comes from it. Where can people find you? Where can people find you?
Where they can find me on this podcast once a year. Yeah. No, on LinkedIn, I'm there. I announced this partnership on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the podcast. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, go to Famous Birthdays, go to Pixability, check it out. Check Evan out on LinkedIn. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
Thanks, Evan.
Before we get to our awesome interview with Jonathan Katz-Moses, I want to talk about measuring television, Josh. So obviously, we're all aware of the Nielsen sort of rating system that's been around forever, but there's really been like sort of a dearth in the opportunity to measure kind of where YouTube traffic is coming from, specifically on TV screens. And as we know, the fastest growing surface for YouTube is the connected TV devices. And so a company called Barb is creating human panels by reading router meters installed in select households. Once those numbers are collected, they go through this client portal and Barb's website, creating a snapshot of typical viewership on a program or a channel receives over a set period. So basically, they can draw broad conclusions over and overall viewership trends around connected TVs. Josh, do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, so I think, Lauren, to be clear, this seems incredibly boring on the surface, but I do think it's really fascinating and interesting and shows you a little bit of slice of what the future is going to look like. First off, this is one of my big pet peeves in the industry, is when people compare YouTube views to Nielsen ratings. It's not apples to apples. It's not apples to oranges. It's like apples to shoelaces or something. They just don't match up. And they don't match up because Nielsen, which is a 102-year-old company, established these kind of rules, these guidelines, these metrics for television 60, 70, 80 years ago. And there's so much inertia within that industry because they were the dominant player for so long, and television was this dominant entertainment platform for so long, that this really got ingrained into all the advertisers and marketers and other types of people and companies that really rely on these ratings to inform how shows are doing, whether shows get picked up again or not, whether they get canceled, and most importantly, who's going to spend money on them and how much money should they spend. What I want to read to you is a quote from a Hollywood Reporter article that says TV Long View, a guide to the ever-expanding world of ratings data. And in this article, they have a bunch of different definitions for a bunch of different types of television rating kind of idiosyncrasies and metrics. And for total viewers, this is what it says. Quote, pretty self-explanatory. The average number of people watching a program in any given minute while it airs. End quote. I love this definition because to me, it is not self-explanatory at all. If you were going to ask me what total viewers means, I would say it's the total amount of people watching the video, not the average number of people watching a program in any given minute while it airs. Total viewers for Nielsen is not total view counts for a YouTube video. Total viewers for Nielsen is more akin to the average concurrent viewership of any given YouTube channel. So if you want to talk about total views in a television show, according to Nielsen, that number would be dramatically higher, probably an order of magnitude or so higher than the actual total viewers number that they're reporting. Are you following this?
No.
So let me try one more time. So total YouTube views on a YouTube video makes sense, right? It's the total number of
Yes.
people, total number of times that video has been watched.
Yes.
Total viewers on a television program, according to Nielsen, is not the total amount of viewers this program had. It is the average number of people watching a program in any given minute while it airs,
Right.
which doesn't make sense in our current vocabulary of how we think about viewership.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, people, by the way, a view, but you could also say, well, the thing that is the sort of question behind the question here is that there's not one universal definition of a view, right? And so every platform has its own definition. It's like, oh, somebody that watches a video for 1 second, somebody that watches a video for 2 seconds, because that's how platforms don't do this. The total viewership could be way less than total somebody that watches a view to a show to its completion. So in certain sense, that's where you could sort of make the argument for apples to apples, where like they're taking one, would you say, minute of a show, and platforms are taking 1 to 3 seconds of a show, calling it a view. Nielsen's calling that minute a view, and so that is that's where you could see overlap.
Lauren, I totally hear you, but I don't think that's what's going on here. A more relevant metric for today would be average concurrent viewers. Like if you watch Twitch streams, you're very familiar with this. There's peak concurrent viewers. That means the most amount of people that turned into the stream at any given time was this number. You had the most amount of people watching the stream at this time concurrently. So that's your peak concurrent viewers. Your average concurrent viewers are the total number of viewers you got averaged out through the entirety of the program. That would be more akin to this Nielsen's rating of total viewers. In any case, I'll come up with a better analogy in a future episode.
We're all waiting for it.
Time into this.
Yeah.
But what I think is so cool about this Barb initiative, Barb, by the way, stands for Broadcasters Audience Research Board. That's a nonprofit organization in the UK that measures television audiences, is that because of YouTube's prevalence now on TV screens, it can actually compare YouTube channels and videos to actual television shows. So this just increasing domination of YouTube on televisions has now created this environment where these ratings companies can actually look at them side by side with the same kinds of metrics that they have been looking at television shows with for the past several decades. I think this, more than anything, is going to be what unlocks those big television budgets and just turns on this potentially, hopefully for YouTube and the creator economy's sake, this kind of like faucet of media dollars that can flow into YouTube at a much higher rate than it was before, because this is now actually apples to apples.
Oh my gosh, we got through it, guys. Let's see what happens. Okay. What have you all been waiting for? Let's get into our interview with Jonathan Katz-Moses, who recently took a $2 million investment from Slow Ventures. Slow Ventures, their mandate, based on conversations that Josh and I have both had with folks working there, is to find creators who have businesses in addition to or alongside their sort of big creator YouTube following. And then the goal is to use that sort of platform of video to kind of grow their business. And Jonathan Katz-Moses sort of fits squarely in that thesis. And it's really exciting to hear kind of how he got there, how he decided that Slow was the right partner for him, and what he's going to do with the capital. Jonathan Katz-Moses, thank you so much for being on Creator Upload. We're very excited that you're here.
Josh, Lauren, thank you so much for having me.
We're going to dive right into it. This is a very exciting announcement, your partnership with Slow. I think my number one question for you is, how did you know that Slow was the right partner for you? So you've obviously created this big YouTube presence, a business. You placed a ton of bets on yourself. Did you know that financing was something that you always kind of thought you would do? And then once you realized you would do it, how did you know that Slow was sort of the right partner?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we had been looking for funding for a long time. It was very clear to me, I think one of my superpowers is seeing the future. And when you grow at 2 to 3 times X a year, you just operational capital, when you're bootstrapping, is going to become a problem.
Yeah.
You can outgrow your funds really quickly and it can kill you.
And that essentially means like you were getting a ton of orders, but in order to fulfill those orders, you need money to fulfill it before the money comes in that people have paid for it. And where are you going to get that money? Is that a good way to put it?
No, I think it's a pardon me.
No,
but,
it's okay.
It's more, let's say I launch a product and it sells out. I have ordered 10,000 units. We do $1 million.
Yeah.
I then have 5,000 interested parties, plus, that we're getting traffic every day. So I want to buy 20,000 units now.
Yeah.
So I've taken every dollar I've made on that product, and I've now had to invest it in more product plus more operational capital from the funds of other products. So we're essentially getting to the point where we were letting products go out of stock so that we could develop new ones, so we could afford new ones. And we hit this glass ceiling where bootstrapping was no longer going to work for us.
Yeah.
Why was Slow the correct partner? I'd gotten multiple offers in the past, but they all came with board seats, loss of operational control. They want to put a CEO in, and I just do videos and product development. And like you said, I bet on myself so many times and won that I was just not willing to walk away. So Slow came in and said, we want to be your partner. We want to let you cook. And you let us know when you need help. So they answer my phone when they call, and leave me alone otherwise.
That's awesome. But I think that is something that I've heard you talk about elsewhere, like a bunch, about this sort of operational control was incredibly important to you. Was that a conversation that you had with them sort of, from day one? And then I guess, for those creators that are listening to this and thinking about them taking investment, like, what is one term or clause that you think is a non-negotiable that you should be, thinking about from day one?
Gosh, great question. I think, immediately I was like, look, I want to talk about Sweet. You guys sound amazing, but here's the thing I won't do. And I think when you're negotiating these kind of deals, it's important to know your partner, right? Like they're doing due diligence on your business. You need to do due diligence on them. And I spoke to multiple other people that they had invested in from the Slow larger fund, and got the opportunity to really get a feel for who they were. And it seemed that they were very interested in seed rounds and letting entrepreneurs do what entrepreneurs do. And that was a big deal to me. So it's not the feeling I got at other firms.
And let's, I guess, really quickly, what is the main thing you're going to be doing with this capital? And it was $2 million investment. What are the kind of, couple things or main things you're going to be doing?
I think we want to get into live events. We've been doing the Texas Woodworking Festival the last couple of years. We've been the platinum sponsor, and that's been incredibly good experience for revenue, as well as just getting to shake hands with the people who love our tools, love my YouTube channel, and getting to spend a few minutes saying hi and letting them know that I'm just a normal guy who likes to build things.
I love that. And so, and I think it's, we're in this age of, Josh and I have been in this sort of creator universe economy, whatever, for 120 years. And we're in this phase where like every creator's an entrepreneur. And, we said it here first, like, I don't think every creator is an entrepreneur, to be honest. Like, it is a lot. And, you could obviously make the argument that just creating a YouTube channel is entrepreneurial. It is, but we know what I'm talking about right now. So I think that from what I understand, you sort of are working with other creators to help them develop their business, because what you've built between infrastructure and operations and product development, et cetera, it's incredibly difficult. So can you talk about a little bit, what it takes to sort of do this all on your own? And then for those folks that maybe don't want to build all the things you built up, how they can sort of, the right creators can work with you to take advantage of what you've built.
Yeah. So I actually gave a talk, I'll never forget this, in 2019. And I laid out every step that I was going to do to get to where I am today. And I looked in a room of 200 creators, and there were so many people out there I looked up to who were bigger than me. And I remember saying, look, if you don't find a way to generate revenue that doesn't involve your complete labor, you just own a full-time job. And
wait, say that again. I love that. Wait.
If you can't run a business that allows you to delegate the things that generate revenue, you just own a full-time job.
I've never heard it said that way, and that's brilliant. Keep going. I love that.
Thank you. And so, I also said in that room, I said, Seinfeld was on the air, the most popular sitcom of the entire history of television was on the air for 9 years. You have a shelf life at which you will hit a peak and you will start to decline in your ability to generate more traffic. Some people are phenomenal at extending that. Some people may do this for 50 years. We've all got the Dolly Partons and all those kind of things, but content is so new that we're sort of in this phase right now where we're coming out of COVID, and COVID was easy money. And so you had a bunch of people coming into the space because there was just infinitely more eyeballs, because people are at home, they had time. And so people were generating revenue in the traditional ways. But we're now seeing this mass exodus of people who in this new economy didn't do anything to stabilize their revenue and their business. And so they just owned a full-time job. And so I think that what I did, I've seen this since day one, since 2015. I've said, I want to do products. That's what I'm going to do. And I said, I'm going to build the infrastructure around that, because it's sort of like YouTube. The people love to say YouTube could go away tomorrow. Likely, probably not. But if I build my business out with other people being my infrastructure, my distribution, 3PLs, those things could go away. We could run into big snags in supply chain and all those kinds of things. But, and I'm not recommending that to everybody, because it is difficult. It is expensive. When I'm doing millions of views a month on my YouTube channel, I'm not paying myself because I'm growing this huge beast over here.
Right.
And so it is risky. But I built an infrastructure that I said one day, I was like, why don't we let other creators use this? Like, we could be not only a 3PL for other creators, but we could be a product design firm. We could be a marketing engine. We have an email list. I've collected data since day one. I've got, close to 250,000 people on my email list. And we could be a marketing driver for these people and help them be the mothership, for lack of a better term. And they could be sort of our satellite ship, where they get to sell a product they believe in, they thought of, they were involved in the development process. And then they can carry other things from my store that go along with that. So just sort of ancillary goods that may coincide with this sort of vertical. And so I started doing that. It worked. Oh my God, did it work. I have multiple creators we've done $1 million launches with. And I treat them as partners. I say, look, let's just be partners on it. This one product, we're a partner, and then you can sell other things through my store. I'll give you a commission. And it works really well. And it works well for people because it's not like advertising, right? Like, they're excited about it. This is mine. This has my name on it. I love it. I use it every day, and I'm excited about it.
That's awesome. I love that. Josh?
So, Jonathan, I want to dive into some of the numbers here. Slow, it's public that they gave you a $2 million investment. Can you say for how much of the company that is?
No, that is the one thing we're not talking about. Slow is in the creator fund looking for about 5 to 10% of companies. And I would say it was in line with that.
In order to get this investment, what's your kind of revenue and what are your projections for the future? I mean, in the releases, it was saying that the woodworking tools industry is projected to be a $10 billion business by 2030. What percentage of that are you owning now? And then where do you look to be in the future?
So last year we did close to 6 million in gross revenue. I think we were very profitable, no complaints. And I don't know if you heard about this, but there was like a little trade war this year with tariffs and things like that. That kicked us in the shin a little bit because, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you make everything here. It starts somewhere overseas, the raw materials or whatever it is. And so there's basically a two-month embargo on goods. And so we weren't ordering. We were projecting to do 8 figures this year. We're still going for it, and I think we got a good shot at it, but we might fall a little bit short due to that. But otherwise, we like I said, 2 to 3x every year for 10 years. Minus 2022, we moved, and I talked about in my video. I budgeted about $25,000 for that move. Ended up being $120,000.
By the way, I saw that budget, and I was like, I've moved I don't know who told you it was going to cost that little. I was like, it is so expensive to move.
It is. I had moved shops 3 times prior to this.
Okay.
And so I thought I understood. And what I didn't understand is that the shops I had moved previously, I would literally just buy a box truck. My guys and I would do it. We'd come in, I'd do the electrical myself, and then I'd sell the box truck for about what I bought it for. And what I didn't realize is what it would take to wire up a 16,000 square foot shop for dust collection, for electrical. We had what's called 480 power here, which is a godsend in commercial. It just doesn't exist very many places, but it is scary. It is the kind of electrical that you see newspaper articles about. And so we had to hire, and
you had to hire guys.
Special brand of blah, blah, blah. So it hurt. It really hurt. And that was the scariest 4 months that I'd had in 10 years. Cause it looked like we had this big growth, and then it was like, we shot ourselves in the foot. And it was unfortunate. We had to move. We didn't have a choice. And luckily we pulled it off. I quick launched some products. We stuff that I could manufacture in my shop. Those did really well, followed by some big wins on some other things. And
so in the $6 million in revenue, gross revenues that you have per year, can you break down the pie chart of that? Which contains what slices, like your own products that you manufacture? What percent of the 6 million is that versus products from other individuals versus whatever other kind of like revenue you're getting in?
Yeah, so 70% of that is products I designed or designed with other creators. I'd say of the 70%, 85 of it is my products. 15, maybe 20% are other creators. The other 30% are products I believe in. We always say, if it's in my store, it's in my shop, and I guarantee it. And so what's so cool about content, and this is why content creators will be the big entrepreneurs of tomorrow, is I get the best market research in the world, right? I do a video, I get all the feedback, the tags on Instagram. Oh my God, I got this thing Jonathan recommended. It's incredible. And I did that for, I don't know, 5-6 years before I like really went after the big tool company. And so I had been seeing I tracked all my links. Somebody told me early on, like, track your data no matter what. So I tracked all my links. I tracked all my sales. I did it all. So I knew exactly what people wanted. And so I could say, what's the best thing of that? Or, what's the highest value of that? It may not be the most expensive, but it's the best value. I did scientific tests on my YouTube channel that were unbiased, and we used machines, and I was able to find what's the best sandpaper on the market. And I did a video with robots where we tested sandpaper. The day we released it, it took 24 hours before that company, 3M, was one of the publicly traded company, sold out that entire line of sandpaper in the whole world in under 24 hours when I did that video. And so I went to them and said, look, I want to be a vendor. Look what I did for you. Let me sell your products. And they said, we work with only 12 direct vendors in the US. Everybody has to buy from them. And I said, well, okay, let me in. And I was number 13. It took me 9 months. I met with the CEO, 7 department heads, made all sorts of promises. I don't know if I fulfilled them all, but it was great. And they give me access to their R&D department and all sorts of things, which are good benefits of being a content creator.
Yeah.
I think what's also worth noting is what's missing from this pie chart intentionally is any type of sponsorship revenues. And so in your video where you announced this slow venture $2 million investment, you said, quote, retaining my autonomy and being able to say what I believe in, teach the things I want to teach, and talk about the tools I want to talk about has always been my North Star. Can you just dive into that? Why you've never taken a brand deal?
Because I did one once. It was for, it was early on. It was for one of those teaching websites where that they tried to do for a while. And I did it. I didn't hit my view count, and I reached out to them and said, I don't want your money. I'm going to edit the commercial out. I hate this. And my autonomy and my honesty was always the most important thing to me. And it was so clear I couldn't do that with brand deals. Early on in my niche, the only brand deals there were companies, tool companies in our space. And so they would pay you. And I see this over and over from guys. There was a video I did where I compared 2 track saws, and their marketing company had been reaching out to all the creators, say, hey, we'll give you $5,000 and a free track saw. It was the nicest one on the market. And we want you to do a review video. This is before some legislation had been passed where you had to disclose this. And so I refused. I said, if you send it to me for free, I will do an unbiased review, but I will not take money for this. And they refused to send it to me. I said, okay, I'll buy one. So I bought one. I published their emails in the video, and the marketing company got fired. And to me, it's like, I remember the reason I created my second product, which is my best-selling product, was because somebody recommended something to me in a YouTube video. I bought it and it sucked. And I realized later that it was a sponsored video, and it was like, that was an ambassador for that company. And I was so mad about it. I remember the frustration. And I said to myself, look, if I want to sell products and people to believe in me that I'm actually doing this for the right reasons, I can't ever take money from somebody else.
Wow. Wait, but I mean, like, just to dig into that, but you never, because many creators obviously make a lot of their money, if not the majority, from brand deals. Did you ever consider doing them for like services? You know what I mean? People need to do taxes and there's many companies out there that have like tried to work with creators in that regard. I understand for like physical goods, but that never was appealing as well.
Never. Not on my main channel. I think if I did a podcast, I would take TurboTax or, Spotify or Shopify, sure. I use Shopify. I love it. I early on generated revenue through affiliate links, and my rule was I really have to love this product. I have to use it. I have to love it. And if I'm going to talk about it, because I need to talk about tools in my videos, I should get paid. But that allowed me to never take any direction whatsoever
awesome.
from anyone.
It's
And
it's hard to do what you've done. I mean, if anybody, again, I encourage everybody to go to your channel and watch your latest video, which sort of gets you through your entire journey, which is just totally fascinating. And you are somebody that has, faced a ton of adversity and again, bet on yourself. And I just think that it's not easy to do what you've done. And so it's quite impressive. I guess my sort of last question here is, you had mentioned at some point being stuck on this sort of vicious hamster wheel, this capital, hopefully was able to help you step off that. So curious, has this capital helped you kind of, I mean, I know it's still early days. I don't even know if you've received it yet, but do you feel like, this is helping you take a step back and refocus, reprioritize and get off the hamster wheel?
yeah, let me just comment on your last thing about what I've done has been hard. If I could tell anybody anything, it's grit beats intelligence every time. And I promise you, if you're willing to work through the pain, it will always pay dividends. So you're right, it's hard.
No, I love that.
I
you gotta start making t-shirts because you've got some like real good ones here. Are bumper stickers still a thing? Because like I'm feeling this.
Listen, I still see bumpers every day. So we've just identified a hole in the market.
I'm telling you.
So I received the capital in I want to say April or May. And I went to work. And has it taken me off the hamster wheel? Certainly. It's created a different kind of drive and stress in me, which is like, okay, I get a once in a lifetime opportunity here and I need to make good decisions. So I've done things like I fired fired is the wrong word. I'm still working with them on like email, but I had an agency that was handling all of our marketing and email. And I said, you know what? Putting all of our budget into paid on Meta is, I think, a poor decision for somebody who has such face recognition. So we need to create organic content and UGC content and affiliate programs and do paid a different way where we have an in-house content creation team, bring on-air personalities. So I took what was a $50,000 a month budget over here in my agency and hired in-house for roughly the same budget. But now I have 4 new people here are in here every day, helping me make content, putting stuff together, writing scripts, saying these are trending topics, blah, blah, blah. I was doing all the product development myself prior to the funding.
Oh, wow.
And now I hired multiple product developers, brilliant people. One of them being Andy Klein, who has his own business, but we've partnered with him on some of his products, and then also he's handling our products as well. So yes, definitely has helped me get off the administrative hamster wheel, but it's created what I find to be the most fun, which is growing and creating and doing the things that like generate new revenue, which makes me so happy and excited to come to work.
Well, yeah. And I think that like, if folks leave nothing else, and this is why I was so excited to sort of talk to you, is like, I just going back to like delegation is how you're going to scale, and whether or not that means scaling to the extent you have, or just like creating more videos. Like, we've been doing this a long time. I've seen really big creators come and go. And then of course there's the ones that have sort of sustained, and every single one of them that has sort of like stood the test of time and is still relevant, it's because they've delegated, period. There's literally, if there's one through line, in my opinion, not opinion, I believe this to be fact. I'll come back to you with the data, but it is absolutely having delegated so that you can do the things you want to do also, because you're going to burn out and be miserable if you're doing everything else. It's just, and it's not sustainable. So I love this story. I'm so excited for you and what's to come. Where can everybody find you and all your tools?
We're at kmtools.com. Find me on YouTube, Jonathan Katz-Moses. And remember, if you don't delegate, you just own a full-time job.
I love that. It's a t-shirt. Okay.
It is.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for coming on the show. It was really exciting to meet you and to learn about everything you're doing. Really excited to see how it all shapes out.
Yeah, that was great. Please come back soon, Jonathan. Pleasure to talk to you.
Josh, do you have any uploads or downloads?
Lauren, quick upload for you, maybe. Were your kids ever into Cocomelon?
Yes. Thank God they are not anymore.
Definitive yes. And Cocomelon, back in your day, it was just a bunch of animated figures bouncing around on screen singing songs.
Yeah.
So in the future, it might be the same thing, except for live action.
Ooh.
Cocomelon is debuting a live-action spin-off starring Miss Appleby and
Ooh.
with a host of other live-action characters in Cocomelon's Melon Patch, as they're calling it. It's going to debut on YouTube this year. Maybe we'll go on to other platforms later, including Netflix. There's already a Cocomelon to Netflix pipeline, and also live shows. Have you seen the Cocomelon live shows now? Clips from them?
No.
It's
As soon as my kids were on in Cocomelon, I closed that door and locked it shut.
The live shows are humans with these big baby masks on. It's a little unsettling. It's a little
bit terrifying.
unsettling.
Little bit terrifying.
I'm sure people without object permanence love it, but it is just a little unsettling. And so, but this could be a whole new line of touring shows for them too. Because they have real actual people, a la Blippi, which Cocomelon's parent money, Moonbug, also owns.
Love it.
So Cocomelon's trying to get into that vein and also just take a little bit of Miss Rachel's thunder. She's just dominating the YouTube space. Let's get some more live action.
I am fine with that. Take it all away from her. Yeah, I think it's time for somebody else. All right, Josh, I think we did it.
Lauren, I think that's it. I'll see you just trying to figure out different kind of fonts and phrases for grit beats intelligence.
Oh my God, I'm like literally get me the t-shirt. I'm so stoked.
If not there, next week on Creator Upload. Today's show was produced by Lauren Schnipper, Joshua Cohen, that's me, and Adam Connor. It's edited by Adam Connor too. Original music is by London Bridge. You can check him out on Instagram at London Bridge Music. Make sure you subscribe to Creator Upload right here on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify or wherever you're listening. While you're there, give us a rating and leave us a comment. If you want to talk, hit us up at info@creatorupload.com. If you like our show, recommend it to a friend. If you love it, just tell everyone. Thanks for listening to Creator Upload, and we will be back next week.